In Ayurveda, your spice rack is your medicine cabinet, and spices make food so much more tasty. That's why there was a big rush to get to India in Europe 500 years ago now, and that rush to get to India for those delicious spices and tea led to the founding of the Americas, right? So spices have delighted people for hundreds of thousands of years. That makes cooking interesting, and your spices also have a lot of medicine and healing power to them. Hi, I'm John Immel, and I'm the director of Joyful Belly, and today we're going to talk about some of the healing qualities of Ayurvedic kitchen spices. So first off, I'm going to mention that you want to study each of these spices and see what they agree with your body. See what you think of them. Learn how to cook with them. And the way you do that is by experimenting with a spice for 3 days. You just put it in just about everything and see how it goes. Don't be afraid to be bold and just check it out. You can, of course, always look online for the way other people are using it in recipes. And then read about the spice on herbal websites too, like Joyful Belly. And you'll soon start to be an expert herbalist just from studying tasty, delicious spices. Our first spice on the list is cilantro. It's cleansing. It's tridoshic. It's a cooling digestive, which is unusual. Most digestives are really hot, but cilantro is cooling. Cilantro is hypoallergenic and can actually help pacify the immune system of a person who has lots of allergies. And it's a perfect garnish for spicy meals. It really provides some texture variation. I love fresh herbs for that. Turmeric is another classic Ayurvedic spice. It's bitter, it's hot, it aggravates pitta. It's a blood cleanser. It's anti-inflammatory, and really I like to think of turmeric poetically that it invigorates the blood, and that's what it does. It gets those blood vessels dilated, and at the same time it's an anti-inflammatory, very interesting qualities. Gets in the joint space to help people with arthritis. And small quantities are okay for pitta, but bigger quantities will cause an argument between you and your loved ones because it's just so hot. It can be used in cooking or in a fresh tea. And what about ginger? Fresh ginger is known as the universal medicine. It's kind of like a panacea. It's digestive, carminative, gets your blood moving. And, one of the things I love about ginger is that it heats up the interior without making you sweat. Well, this is more the dry ginger does that. Fresh ginger may be a bit more diaphoretic. Anyway, dry ginger... if you that special quality of being very hot without making you sweat is useful in winter when you want to warm up, but sweating actually makes you cold and could make you sick. So if you are sick and it's winter, dry ginger is your friend because it'll warm you up without creating that sweat. Anyway, with the fresh ginger, you can grate it into meals or boil it as a tea. Cardamom, one of my favorite spices, the great mucus destroyer. And it's just such a pure aromatic that it really does help clear the stomach and upper GI. I had a client once who suffered many, many problems for months after eating a Big Mac. And that Big Mac was sluggish in her gut. She was burping up the taste of it 4 days later. That's a perfect cardamom situation where you want to clear the upper GI of that stagnant burger and move things along. Cardamom's also a great bronchodilator, making it really important lung medicine. Destroys mucus and a bronchodilator, great for the respiratory tract. Destroys mucus and clears the upper GI, great for kapha in the stomach. Nutmeg is a nice relaxing spice. You put it in sleepy time teas all the time in Ayurveda. It's aromatic and pungent digestive, which makes it useful for people with low Agni. And the astringency helps with diarrhea. The problem with when people have diarrhea is that they get dehydrated, their Agni is really low. Nutmeg will stimulate their Agni, but not increase diarrhea like other spices do. So just to remember that nutmeg is actually a bit narcotic, so don't take too much of it. It can hurt you, and there you can take a lethal dose of this stuff. So don't take more than a tablespoon. I think tablespoon it starts to get real dicey with nutmeg, but I'm not sure. Look that up. Cumin is a mild, warming digestive. It's really great. I think of cumin energetically as like the setting sun in the desert. I don't know if you've ever been to the southwest of the United States, but I have, because my sister studied out there, and I actually studied Ayurveda out there too. And you just they're just those desert sunsets. It's just warm but not hot, and very dry. And so I give cumin to my clients in the Pacific Northwest, where they're like damp, cold, and soggy. I think cumin is almost a perfect remedy for that. Fennel is a cooling digestive, safe for pitta. Nice. Also great for the lungs. Coriander, another cooling digestive and a bit diuretic. CCFT is Ayurveda's classic tea. You mix equal quantities of cumin, coriander, fennel, and it's a great spring herb formula to expel excess water weight, and it's just one of the most popular Ayurvedic digestive teas. Fenugreek is getting a little more complex, a little more advanced. It's got a complex taste. If you're using that in cooking, that means that you're confident. You're confident. You've built up. You're confident enough, because it's easy to ruin a whole meal with fenugreek. But if you add the right amount, it's absolutely delicious. It doesn't smell like it's delicious. It doesn't taste delicious on its own. But when you get that right amount of fenugreek, a small amount in your food, it's awesome, and really a key spice in Indian cooking. It's very unusual because it's a bitter tonic. Most bitters aggravate vata, but here we have an actual food that is nourishing and bitter at the same time. So that's awesome. It's fenugreek's great for diabetes, great for kapha. It's one of my favorite kapha pacifying spices, and I gotta remember to recommend that more to my kapha clients, because it is such a great spice. Asafoetida and hing, another complex one, not for the faint of heart, not for the amateur cook, because you can really ruin a dish with this one. But small quantities, it's unbelievably tasty. It's one of the key ingredients in Hingvashtak Churna, one of my favorite Ayurvedic spice blends that I just pour on cooking all the time. And it's bitter, it's pungent, it's acrid, it's very hot. So that makes it a great digestive for vata. It's really great for cold, stagnant conditions in the uterus. Coldness in the menstrual cycle. It really warms things up down there. Great for deficient blood and anemia in general. Rakta Dhatu Kashay. Cinnamon and cloves are awesome spices. One, because you could put them on desserts. So a lot of our desserts need spices. Ginger you can put on desserts too. And nutmeg you can put on desserts. We need dessert spices because a lot of our desserts are really heavy. So cinnamon and cloves are aromatic and pungent. They can be used in sweet and savory situations. Cloves, you have to be careful with overdoing it with cloves. If you add too much cloves to a dish, it's terrible. So you just got to make sure you don't overdo it with the cloves. But cloves are such a diaphoretic, really pushing heat to the exterior that it can help to warm cold hands and feet. But make sure make sure you're well dressed before you do that. A lot of times people have cold hands and feet because they're underdressed. They're not wearing, they need to cover their chest and increase their body's confidence to send blood to the exterior. But once you have increased your body's confidence with warm clothing, you can finish it off with one of these diaphoretic spices that will warm cold hands and feet and stimulate circulation. Lots of great qualities of cinnamon and cloves. Salt is so many great medicinal qualities, and it's controversial whether salt actually, is harmful for increasing blood pressure in people who have high blood pressure. I just want to mention that everyone thinks of salt as dangerous because it increases blood pressure, but that's not definitive. So check into that, research it, see what you're comfortable with. But salt is very healing for vata. Most vata people have low blood pressure anyway. So take a look and research your salts. Mineral salt is great because it gives you some additional minerals. But one of my herbal teachers Seven Song. I used to laugh when he used to say this, like, if you have to get your minerals from salt, then you're not eating a varied enough diet. And, and he's totally, makes fun of the luxury salt movement. Anyway, I'm not making fun of it. I just want to point out some different opinions. I actually do use mineral salts in my household, but also I don't like to get too crazy with stuff either. And try to get too perfectionist about it. Then there's also black salt, which is called kala namak. This is an interesting photo of it. I'm used to seeing it a little more ground up than this, where it actually takes on a little bit more of a reddish, purplish tinge too. It's common in India, Pakistan, and other South Asian countries. It's this sulfurous taste to it. So check that out. It's formed when the pink Himalayan salt is heated to extreme temperatures and then mixed with herbs and spices. And it's used as a digestive. And you only need a small amount because it has a very intense flavor. If you cook with it, the flavor disappears. So don't cook with it. Sprinkle it as a garnish afterwards. Anyway, a brief intro to some of the Ayurvedic kitchen herbs and spices and their healing qualities.